Hi, I'm John Gilstrap, author of the Jonathan Grave thriller series, back with another peek inside the publishing industry. There are a lot of players that are involved in the food chain of getting a book published. And one of the ones that I think is least understood by people outside the business is that of the role of the literary agent. Now, within the last couple of years, last 10 years or so, there's been a whole new publishing model that has evolved around the concept of self-publishing, where a writer puts together his own book, designs the covers, does his own editing, and gets it out as an ebook or as a self-published book. Agents do not apply to them. I have always been part of what's now called the traditional publishing model. And in that, in order to get through the front door of 90%, 99% of publishers, you need to have an agent. And the reason you need to have an agent is several-fold. From the editor's point of view, from the publishing house's point of view, the agent serves as a first-line quality check. An agent is not going to take on a client who doesn't have talent or whose ideas for stories don't work. Right? So from the publishing house's point of view, an agent is a good thing to have. If the manuscript comes from a known entity within the industry, like an agent, it's worth taking a chance and taking a read. The stuff that comes over the transom that people just send in and ends up in the slush pile may never get read, simply because it hasn't had that first quality control check. But what I really want to talk about in terms of agents are the importance from the author's point of view. In my experience, most of the standard boilerplate contracts that come out of publishing houses, and I've had 4 or 5 publishers now over the years, they exploit writers. They take the contract takes away rights that an author should never give up in his works. It's the contracts are completely tilted toward the publishing house, and why not? They're the ones that are taking the risk and putting out the book. An agent will not let that happen. An agent serves sort of as a contract lawyer, even though they might not be lawyers. But they make sure that the contract language is favorable to their author. And some authors, the contract language that are in my contracts may not be the same as the contract language in another writer's contract because they have a different agent and they negotiate differently. But I think it's also important from my point of view that an agent understands what the industry is looking for. More than that, they know what editor X is looking for, because the agents are constantly in contact with the editorial staffs of the various publishing houses. And if they end up with, if I write a book or if another author writes a book, and they know it's in editor X's wheelhouse, that's terrific. That's a win for everybody. So the agent will contact that editor, say, I've got this new book, you want to take a look at it? And they say yes. And then the agent negotiates the price. We'll talk in another video about how authors are paid under the traditional publishing model, but that's a very important negotiation, because I'll tell you, having worked with a number of editors over the years, I have never once talked business. I've only talked about creative issues because my agent talks about the business issues. And let's face it, money screws up a lot of relationships, professional relationships and personal relationships for that matter. I don't want to ever have my editor be in a position of having to say, well, no, Gilstrap's not worth that much, or no, we're not going to do that. That's what my agent takes care of. And then she may or may not give it to me straight. For all I know, the soft pedaling responses I get were angry screeds when they came out. I don't really think that's the case. But it's nice to have that buffer. What an agent does not do, and a lot of people don't seem to understand this, my literary agent is strictly about business. They don't arrange appearances for me. They don't do publicity for me. There are other folks that will take care of that. Maybe we'll address that in a future video as well. So are literary agents necessary? Yes, if you're going to go through the traditional publishing model. No, they have no role if you're going to go through the self-publishing model that's become popular in the last few years. So, okay, that's it for now. I think we're running a little long, actually, on this one, so I'll move on. Meanwhile, you take care. Please keep reading. I'm John Gilstrap.